Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Skip, aka Skipintosh here, and I am back with another haul video. Apologies about the long break in between videos. I was trying to put up one every other day, but life gets busy sometimes, especially when you do a lot of video production and all of that stuff. So, apologies for the wait, but I do have quite the haul here and quite the stack. So, no further ado, I'm jumping right into it. This is a culmination of a few different LCSs. So shout out to Comic Command Center. Shout out to a whole bunch of places at A1 Comics. Shout out to oh my gosh, I went so many places. Oh yeah, also to World's Best Collectibles and Toys. So many places in Sacramento. I definitely tour around all the different shops. We're getting right into it. This one was one that I thought was good for my buddy, and I bought it from my buddy Bart. It is a Mickey Mantle comic. Mickey Mantle comic, of course, Mickey Mantle, the infamous baseball player. This came out in 1991. I got it for him, and he was all like, "Oh, I was a senior in high school that year," and I was like, "Well, this is the book for you because you love the Yankees," and it's Mickey Mantle. Next one up, I actually read issue number one, and I took it over there to him, but he uh, he had already had it, or excuse me, he didn't have it. It was such a comic for him. I left it with him, and then I was looking for issue number two, but I ended up finding cover A of issue number one. So I just bought one for myself so he could keep the cover B. Not All Robots by Mark Russell. Finally, after hearing people talk about this book, I decided to give it a go and really enjoyed it. Mike Diodato Jr., Lee Lowridge on art, on colors, and I was surprised at how much I liked it. This is the first Mark Russell book that I read that I liked, and I was happy with my purchase, so I happily purchased issues two and three as well. Another one that I'd heard people talking about, shout out to Bunkmaster B, aka Ben, who you'll see in the chat from time to time if you watch the weekly, pretty much weekly indie comic show that I do with Ash over on Ash's channel, Ash on Comics, regarding the matter of Oswald's body. Christopher Cantwell, I believe it is Luis Casalanguida. I want to get the names right because this book was so proper and they deserve all the kudos. Luca Casalanguida and Giada Marchisio, lettered by And World Design. Very interesting book about Lee Harvey Oswald and some mystery regarding his body and ghosts or doppelgangers. Which one is it? We don't know. But Christopher Cantwell, this is the first book that I've read from Christopher Cantwell myself and really enjoyed it. I have She Could Fly, I believe is the title, with Christopher Cantwell and Martin Morazzo of Ice Cream Man fame. Of course, you know I love Ice Cream Man. And so I will definitely be reading that next after reading this and really, really enjoyed it. Oddly enough, I already have those ready to read. So can't wait. Of course, had to get issue number six of this book. Everyone's talking about it. I've been reading it since issue number one. Love the art. Really enjoying the intrigue. The dialogue does start to wear on me personally a little bit after a while. It's not terrible dialogue. It's just also not very spicy. It sounds like people talking, but sometimes I want something a little spicier. Nice House on the Lake by James Tynan. The edition of Alvaro Martinez Bueno and Jordi Belair on colors. I like when people talk in comic books. I hear people talk like in real life all the time. So if it could just be a little spicier, just a little more flavorful, I'd really appreciate it. But excited to read that. This is the last issue before they take like a 6 month hiatus and then come back and do the last six issues in the series. You already seen this book on here before. I bought this variant cover because Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Avon Oming did the variant. What's the farthest place from here? Again, this is the Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Avon Oming variant. And I thought it was just cool to have. Shout out to my buddy Jimmy, who is a big Brian Michael Bendis fan. I also think he might appreciate this story, but I saw it and I couldn't pass it up just simply because of the memory of him. I think I have almost all the covers from issue number 1 of that book now, and I did not intend to get really anything beyond the cover A. Of course, you know I love Rom V, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr being my personal book of the year so far, but I had ordered some books and I hadn't received them yet. And they were Paradiso 1 through 4, but since I already had Paradiso 1 through 4 on the way, I decided to grab myself Paradiso 5, 7, and 8 because I saw them all at a shop for a really solid price. This is not cover A. This is actually the Casper Wynyard variant. Casper, you would know I really enjoy Casper from his work on Limbo with Dan Waters and their story Homesick Pilots together. Casper, Dan Waters, Ram V, and I think Aditya Bidikar as well are all in this collective called the White Noise Collective. A bunch of creatives from over the pond, and I really enjoy so much of their work. So I really wanted to really wanted to get this particular cover. But I also, like I said, I got number 6. I believe this is cover A. Paradiso number 6. I also have number 7. I believe this is also cover A. As well as issue number 8. So very excited to read this series. Only 8 issues. And shout out again to my buddy Ash on Comics, who was kicking around the dollar bin at his local comic book store and found all of these. So it looks like he bought them all too. So we'll probably be reading it together. And he found a bunch of variants, all for $1. Some really great stuff. So I got more of these coming my way. And I'll be sure to show those off once those arrive in the mail as well. Continuing on with Ram V, we have his new series that just came out, Radio Apocalypse. This is cover A. Is Ram V, Anand RK, Aditya Bidikar, and it looks like we got Anisha on colors, but I want to make sure I get their name as well because everybody, okay, yeah, just goes by Anisha, which is totally fine with me. This is cool because there's a little playlist that you read along with this story, and it's not very long either, just a few songs, so they're not too intrusive with it, but even if they were, I'd listen along because I love music. I'm a big music lover. I'm a musician myself, and of course I had to get the Simons variant as well because now I am officially a Simons bro. I and my buddy Nalo, who you saw in the video, best indie comics of 2021 so far. So we're just collecting a bunch of Simons covers. Oh, that's actually one of the ones that are coming. I got a Simons variant for Paradiso coming too. Can't wait for that. You might know Simons as an artist for Department of Truth. Again, with another writer from earlier, James Tynion over at Image Comics. Somehow, my shop didn't order me cover A. They ordered me a totally different cover. So now I finally have cover A for What's the Farthest Place from Here also. Again, by Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss, if I didn't say that the first time around. So very happy to finally have the cover A for this book because I enjoyed it so sinking much. I really only wanted the cover A. I ended up with 2 other variant covers, and then I ended up buying this Bendis variant cover, and I finally got a cover A, which I wanted all along. Another book that is a reoccurring theme on here, Gun Honey. This is issue number 3. Gun Honey from Titan Comics and their imprint Hard Case Crime has been a book that I did not expect to enjoy this much. And I wasn't even looking for the Adam Hughes covers, and I ended up getting some anyway because a buddy of mine, RDV, shout out to the real Dr. Venkman, he wanted those covers, and there were more out here than there were where he lived. So I bought him some, sent them to him. They had extras in the store. I kind of just bought it. I mean, it's good art, but I bought it mostly because I knew it was a hot item. So I bought the 3rd printing, which was the more exposed Adam Hughes cover, and then I also bought a first printing of issue number one, which was the regular Adam Hughes cover. So I've got both of those. And I've also got this, and I'm happy to have it. Can't wait to read it. These have been such a good, fun, kind of espionage noir read. I was a really big fan of the Black Caravan imprint from Scout Comics. They did a book called Tales Told in Techno Horror, and Kyrjan Tagen and Christian Dabari, along with Simon Go, it was a bunch of like short stories, anthology style, inside of one issue. Apparently, there is going to be a season two. I heard it listening to a live stream from my buddy Brandon's channel, Comics Kings. Shout out to Comics Kings. He was shout out to Comics Kings. Still, actually, it was on RK Comics. Or AR Comics YouTube channel. Shout out to AR Comics. AR Comics, another great, so many good comics YouTube channels in 2021. I remember when there weren't that many on my old podcast, the Capeless Crusaders. Like, we started back in 2012, and I remember even 2016 there weren't as many, and now there's so many, and there are, so many good ones. But Provenance of Secret is the name of this book. This one is not anthology. From what I understand, is an ongoing series, a bunch of horror tales, out in the time of the 50s, dealing with, old-timey film stuff, like movie theater, movies being made, Tinseltown stuff. From what I understand, I haven't read it yet. It was recommended to me by Nalo, so shout out to Nalo. Thank you, Nalo, for recommending this. I did start to read a few of the pages, but I need to get all the way through the book. But very happy to have this. Very happy to know that Tales Told in Techno Horror is getting a season 2, because I really enjoyed that book. And it's funny because I don't feel like I'm a big horror guy, but I keep buying all these horror books. And then lastly, this is a book that I wanted to read a long time ago when it first came out, but it got sold out pretty easily, and I did not find other copies. So I stumbled into Empire's Comics Vault, which is another place I went and I visited. Shout out to Ben from Empire's Comics Vault. And he had 1 through 3 there. So I decided to grab number 1, and I'll kind of go from there. But we have The Question by Jeff Lemire, Bill Sienkiewicz, and Chris Sotomayor, Dennis Cowan as well. Dennis Cowan also on this. And shout out to BJ Kicks, who just interviewed Dennis Cowan, like surprise interviewed Dennis Cowan. So we got a connection here I didn't even realize. But The Deaths of Vic Sage, The Question. Of course, it was changed. Shout out to Bunkmaster B, Ben, for reminding me a little bit of the heritage. But this is a character created by Steve Ditko, and there was some changes made to the character, but yet and still I like just some of the lore behind Steve Ditko. So it's cool to have a book with his character in it that I get to read. I enjoy Jeff Lemire. If you've been watching this channel, I've been reading May's book. I also really enjoyed his Moon Knight series that he did with Greg Smallwood. I really like Greg Smallwood's art, so happy to have such a quality book. And I'm excited to read it in this format, this prestige format. I don't have a lot of books that are this size. I think the only other one that I can think of off the top of my head was Hedra, which was an Image title that came out last year before last. Super cool, no words in it, all told in images. So if you haven't read Hedra, I highly suggest if you can find it, get your hands on a copy and read it. I don't think you can read it digitally, but it is set up in a specific format, and I think physical is the way to read that book. But anyway, happy to have all these books. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out on one of my haul videos. If you made it to the end, I did want to say right now, if you're looking for a chair like mine, which has like a really nice headrest and adjustable arm rests and all of that stuff, you can lean back, you can rock, all that. Tabu Ohana got your back. TABUOHANA.com. Awesome chairs. Could be gaming chairs, could be a desk chair. Obviously, all black leather, can go inside of a professional setting quite easily. And if you put it up to 45% off the chairs, but if you put in my code SKIPTC, SKIPTC, get an additional $40 off. So up to 45% off and then additional $40 if you use my code. So thank you so much for hanging out. I've kept you long enough. I'll be back with the next video soon. This is your boy Skip, aka Skip and Tosh, and we'll see you guys next time.